All right, I want to welcome Ivan to today's proceedings. Ivan, thank you so much for being with us. The first question we have is from Eamon Khan. I'm going to bring Eamon in right now. Here he comes.
Ames here from Boxing Social and association with Ben.
Eamon, we've lost you there on your audio. Try that again.
Can you hear me?
Now I can, yes.
Ivan, I just wanted to ask, there's been some talk back and forth about some infamous sparring between yourself and Regis Prograis. Can you let us know about that sparring and who got the better of that in the past?
Это был тренировочный момент. Всем здрасте.
Hello, everyone.
У нас был очень прекрасный спарринг.
We had a great sparring sessions.
And I couple times
It was just a part of the training. And a couple of times
я ударил его очень сильно и, кажется, сломал ему нос.
you know what, I'm not sure, but most likely, probably I broke his nose on one of the sparring sessions, and after that
Мы больше не стояли.
And I think in this fight, it's you seem to be coming in with the underdog tag. Do you feel that's a fair tag, or do you think you're being overlooked in this fight with Regis?
думаю, что тебя... Can you repeat the question?
Yeah, sure. So coming into this fight with Regis, you seem to have the underdog tag from the fans, the boxing public. Do you think that's a fair tag? Are you welcoming the underdog tag, or do you feel you're being overlooked by the boxing public?
Очень многие, конечно, принимают сторону Реджиса среди фанатов. Как ты думаешь, они тебя недооценивают просто, или как бы ты на это отреагировал? Как бы ты на это ответил, что все-таки он в преимуществе у большинства?
Я уже был андердогом, и для меня это не сюрприз.
I've been like, under like a dog, like a piece of meat, like, on the boxing ring.
И это было так же самое с Александром.
It's kind of looks like when I had a fight with Alexander. So basically they look at me like a piece of meat. So seems like this is the same right now.
Sure. And what would I know you probably haven't been thinking about it, but what would a loss do for you at this stage in your career? Is retirement potentially in your mindset if you were to come out of the losing end of this fight, Ivan?
Он тебя спрашивает такой вопрос, говорит, к примеру, когда ты вообще проиграл этот бой, что ты будешь делать дальше? Потому что ты рассматриваешь какой-то пенсионный момент.
Я не проиграл, я приехал сюда за победой. Я приехал за победой. Моя команда приехала.
So we'll see what's going to happen after April 17.
Вы очень далеко забегаете наперед.
I'm not looking forward to my retirement yet.
All right, thanks very much. We have Donna Corby with the next question. Donna?
Hi, Ivan. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah. To ask basically the antithesis of the question, you were just asked, what does a win here do for you? This is a massive stage, a huge pay-per-view event with a whole new audience watching. What does a win here do for Ivan Redkach's career?
Что эта победа для тебя сделает? Что победа именно в этом бою для тебя сделает?
Откроет дверь к титульному бою.
That's gonna be I'm gonna open the door for the title fight. That's my goal. That's my target.
What do you think about all of this? Celebrities coming into the world of boxing. We've got 2 or 3 of them on this card. What is your opinion on this crossover we've seen the last year or so?
Ну, это большое шоу, это большая...
It's going to be a huge entertaining show, and honestly,
Я очень рад, что трейлер мне дал такую
I'm happy to
возможность.
be here. I'm honest, and I appreciate Triller for this opportunity. And I think it's a great, like, to be here. And it
Тем,
doesn't matter who else gonna be there. For me, it's my job. Like, I have to. That's my target. I have to fight. I just need my opponent and the ring, and I don't care who's gonna be there.
дети смотрят
You know,
это,
who's gonna bring the more views. That's great.
и дети хотят также показать себя с лучшей стороны, как боксеры.
And also, like, my job, my goal, like, that's gonna get attention of the young generation. And I think that's my job and the job of any like athlete or a fighter to show them that there is, you know, the sport life and how it's great and how it's good to be in shape. It's just going to be like a good example for the young generation.
Okay, thank you. Next, we have Gabriel Gonzalez. Go ahead, Gabriel.
Hello, Ivan. Can you hear me?
Hello, yes.
Ivan, people are talking about that Jake Paul is bringing in this new audience and different fans. Have you felt that? Do you notice that different fans are reaching out to you and are interested in your
Ты
fight this
как-то
time?
заметил какую-то разницу между предыдущим боем, какие-то были фанаты, какие-то сейчас фанаты появились, в связи связанные с тем, что именно Джек Пол будет.
И
Новая аудитория фанатов появилась.
я смотрел, я был на его боях, я видел, кто
You
приходит.
know, I've seen his fights. I attended his last fight. I've seen his audience, and yes, you know what? I've noticed that actually on my Instagram, I have like more like young people, I would say, like teenagers.
Фанаты любят его.
You know, they love him. Actually, I respect him from the business perspective. I respect him a lot. He knows how to sell it, and he knows that they're gonna buy it. That's great. That's probably what the young generation need today. And yes, I do notice that I have more. I have a different fact right now.
My final question, obviously you're fighting earlier in the night. What message do you have for fans who may be thinking, oh, I don't know if I can get there early? What is your message to them to tune in to watch your fight before Jake Paul?
Дело в том, что многие будут смотреть, для многих этот бой будет начинаться очень рано утром. Что бы ты им мог передать, какое бы сообщение ты мог им послать, чтобы они проснулись рано утром, посмотрели твой бой, бой с Джек Полом, чтобы они были во внимании.
Ребят, заведите, пожалуйста, будильники,
Guys,
свои телефоны,
Make sure
свои
that your alarm
часы.
is on,
Проснитесь, вы увидите
get
это
early.
huge show
You're not gonna,
and very
regret it.
entertaining fight.
Because it's gonna be entertaining fight. It's gonna be great.
Promise.
And, the Triller work hard. Each of us work hard. We had a long, like, you know, 8 weeks camping for each, for organization, production, for fighters. It's gonna be great. You're not gonna regret. You will enjoy the show.
Great. Thank you, Gabriel. Now we have Joe Lee. Joe?
Hi, I hope you're all right, mate. First question I have for you. I just wonder where you rank Regis Prograis in comparison to the people you fought. You've obviously fought the likes of Danny Garcia, Tevin Farmer. Looking to the fight before it's happened, do you think he's the best fighter you've ever fought?
Как ты думаешь, какой оппонент сейчас Прогресс? Это он лучше предыдущих, которые у тебя были до этого?
Я дрался с лучшими.
You know, I've been fighting with I didn't want to say anything bad about Progress, but let's be honest, I've had probably the better opponents.
И я проиграл 5 боев.
You know, I lost only 5 fights.
Из них 4 экс-чемпиона мира.
And 4 I lost to the former world champions.
Он дрался с мешками, с
You know,
мусором.
he's been fighting, yeah, his resume looks
И он
great.
попал
25
один бой,
Yeah,
он
25
проиграл.
fights, only 1 lost. If you look at his resume, it looks perfect. But if you will take a look closely, you will notice that he's been fighting probably with, like, you know, kittens. And the only person he lost was Taylor, and the Taylor been fighting was really good fighters before. You know, compared to the other 24 fighters, like, he's great. But, you know, it's a good job.
Его рекорд обманчив.
his resume looks good, but if you will take a close look, you will be a little disappointed.
Okay. And if you were your opponent, would you say this is a good fight for him at the right time, or is this a bad time for him to be fighting you?
Как ты думаешь, это правильное время для него вообще с тобой драться сейчас? Или нет?
Я не смотрю на его время. У меня есть своя
I
команда,
don't
у
care
меня
about
свой
like
лагерь был.
his time, his like opinion, if it's right for him or it's wrong for him. I totally don't care. I have my team, I have myself. I have to, care about my family and me, and I have to care about my time. It's the right time for me. That's the most important.
Thank
Я
you.
долго шел к этому.
I've been waiting for that like type of fight like for a long time.
Cheers, man.
И такая возможность появилась, что я дерусь на
This
pay-per-view.
chance like pay-per-view, fight at pay-per-view, like you can get
Все
probably once in a
боксеры
life,
мечтают об этом.
And like every fighter. chases
Мечты
dreams,
сбываются,
and
просто
like,
надо
I have it
год
right now.
или 10.
It means it's the right time for me.
Cheers.
All right, thank you, Joe. And now we'll go back. One final question from Boxing Social.
Thank you. Ivan, I see you rubbing your hands there. You look like you're very ready. You're itching to fight Regis Prograis. Do you have a message you'd like to send him before you get to see him next?
Что ты хотел бы ему сейчас передать? Сейчас ты видишь его в лицо. Какое сообщение?
Риджи, тебя ждет
Regis.
прекрасный бой. Уверен, мы
I
это
promise.
сделаем. Шоу
will
очень
make it
горячим. Спасибо,
And,
что ты взял этот бой.
I appreciate that you accept
И
this
увидимся
fight.
в субботу.
I really do, and I'm going to see you on Friday. And
Be ready.
let's, I'm planning to make it very entertaining, and I hope we're at the same page.
All the best, Ivan.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Ivan. Thanks, everyone, for questions for him. And we'll be getting to Ben Askren by the bottom of the hour, or if he arrives a little earlier, we'll grab him earlier. So let me know a question for Ben in the chat if you also need to record and haven't been able to.
Ну ладно.
Know that, I can make sure that you record. And don't forget that tomorrow, 12:45, we have Lopez and Cambosos and friends, 12:45 p.m. Eastern time in our press conference. And then Saturday at 5 o'clock Eastern time will be our start of our fight. If you don't have and need to request a code for us to watch the pay-per-view, which begins at 9 p.m. Eastern time, please send me an email, jerry@jerrymilani.com. I'm going to put that in the chat as well. There is my email. Best way to let me know that you have not yet requested. I haven't sent them yet because I don't have them. But if you have not yet requested, or if you're not sure, you want to make sure, you can send me that also. But if I got that from you, I did request that. I'm just waiting on Ben for the bottom of the hour.
He's got 10 minutes, though.
We'll be back with you in 10 minutes or as soon as Ben gets here. Thanks.
It's
Apparently Ben is on his way, so we should be getting started shortly. I want to remind everyone, if you have a question for Ben, please let me know in the chat. Also, if you need recording and have not yet asked me for that, go ahead and request that now, and I can allow you to record. We'll also be recording this in chunks of each of the boxers, so we'll have that for you as well. And if you have not yet requested a fight code for the pay-per-view, you can email me at jerry@jerrymilani.com. I'm going to put that in the room again, jerry@jerrymilani.com. That's me. And if you haven't yet requested, you can. If you have, I'll be getting those to you probably later today or tomorrow. Reminder, 12:45 p.m. Eastern Time tomorrow is a press conference announcement on June 5th. Participants Lopez and Cambosos and friends. And Saturday at 5 p.m. Eastern begins our fight night. So after each of the matches, we'll bring in the winner and potentially the losers of the first fights. 8 o'clock starts the free play, which you can watch, the free watch on TrillerFightClub.com and on Fight TV. And then starting at 9 p.m. is the pay-per-view, which will have the final 4 fights live, as well as some of the entertainment will be on that pay-per-view. Ben is coming in now. So again, if you have any questions for Ben, let me know and I will queue you up and get you in. We'll be getting to the podium shortly. All right, so Ben is coming to the table now. First question coming from Joe Lee.
We gotta do this. Yeah, I'll take the blame. I'll take the blame. It's 30 minutes. So what time is it?
Be with Joe in just a second as soon as Ben gets together. Okay, Joe Lee has the first question.
Hi Ben, how's it going, mate?
What? No, I can't have you getting in my room without me. Come on, bro.
Guys, we've begun.
All right, we're starting virtual media. Hey, I showered for you guys today. I hope you guys appreciate that. I don't shower very often for people for media day, but I did for you people today, all over the world.
How are you, Ben?
I'm doing pretty well. How are you?
Good, thank you. So the first question I want to ask you is about the event as a whole. Obviously, coming from the background you have in MMA and the UFC, they do things a lot differently here. And Triller, they've obviously got live guests, there's performances around. What do you make of the whole fight week so far? And are you excited for the event as a whole rather than just the fight at hand?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's a fight, right? It's not an event for me. If I was a fan or something, I might feel differently. But listen, I'm getting into a boxing ring, as funny as that sounds, and fighting on Saturday night. So I'm not kind of getting into all the hoopla and stuff. But I know the people who are. I have 10 guest passes, and they are all very excited for Justin Bieber and some of the other people.
And seeing the background you've come from in mixed martial arts, it's very different to the boxing fight. And I know that you're a very chilled out person. Do you actually dislike Jake Paul?
I would say I'm more indifferent to Jake. I think there's a part of me that still thinks what he's doing is kind of an act or, a show he puts on. I'd say if who he acts like is his real person, then yeah, he's probably kind of a shit person. But I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Maybe it's just an act.
And if you were to
but
win,
even hold on, even if he was a shit person, I guess I would still be pretty indifferent to that. I mean, there's a lot of shit people in the world.
And if you were to win on Saturday, a lot of people would thank you because there's a lot of hatred towards Jake Paul. Would you prefer, although it does sound very strange, would you prefer to win on Saturday than lose to Jorge Masvidal in the manner you did?
Wait, well, sorry. That was kind of a confusing question. Can you say it one more time?
would you prefer to win on Saturday night and have a lot of praise from people who dislike Jake Paul, or would
Yeah.
you prefer of that win over Jorge Masvidal?
That's good. Well, I would pick, obviously, if I could rewind history, to beat Masvidal, because if I beat Masvidal, I was fighting for the UFC title, and that was pretty much the only belt in mixed martial arts that I didn't win. So I would obviously reverse that.
All right, thank you. Cheers.
All right, thanks very much. Next, I have Theo Saloon. Theo.
Hey, how's it going?
What's up?
First things first. Appreciate you for showering. I know we can't smell you, but you look clean, and that's nice.
Well, actually, you know what? I don't wear deodorant, and I don't have body odor. So, even though my hair might be messy, you will never ever smell me because body odor doesn't exist on me.
All right, that's good to know.
I'm not lying.
For the
I'm not lying.
future.
That's the truth. You can ask my wife.
I'll have to. All right, maybe if we get her up next.
Okay.
But so my question kind of just, you mentioned the hoopla and not thinking of it as an event. Obviously, you're very experienced, with pre-match trash talk and stuff. But I'm wondering, like, have you noticed another level to kind of like this? I guess you could call it with social media and going up against an influencer who's so present on social media.
No, I haven't. I actually think, we should probably have our contracts reversed. I'm sure Jake's getting some kind of pay-per-view bonus, and I'm carrying the fucking promotion of this fight. Jake ain't promoting shit. You go look at Fight Hub TV. Jake's got 50,000 views, and I got 1.2 million. Triller, maybe they can send me a $2 million bonus afterwards, because the promotion of this fight is squarely on my shoulders. Jake's not doing his job.
So you'd say he's not talking enough trash in advance?
Yeah, not talking enough trash, and the trash he does talk, it's very poor.
All right, got you. Appreciate you.
All right, next we have Boxing Social.
Ames here for Boxing Social in association with Betfred. How you doing, Ben? You all right?
I'm doing pretty well.
Good to hear. You fought in your recent fights. Well, it will be Jake Paul coming at the weekend, and you've had Jorge Masvidal in the past. Two big personalities. Out of the two, who would you say has been harder to deal with?
Deal with in what way?
Mentally, in terms of approaching the fight, everything encompassing like dealing with the fight in general.
I kind of deal with I kind of deal with everyone the same way. I try to make it as similar as possible every single fight, and that's same with this week.
You said as well, leading up to this fight, this is essentially for you a one and done, but there's a small chance that you could continue fighting on. Can you give me an example of what that small chance means in fight terms? Like, who would have to be in the picture for you to fight on?
Yeah, I don't really intend to box after Saturday night, but no, it's not a who question. It's a how much question. Is Triller going to recognize that I'm going to sell him 1 million pay-per-views and cut me, a Conor McGregor type check for the next one? Because if they do, then I would consider doing it again. And if they don't, I love coaching wrestling and podcasting. That's kind of my passion in life. I'll probably just go and do that.
Well, a Conor McGregor like check would include Conor McGregor, right?
Oh, I can't imagine the UFC. Well, Conor's a significantly better boxer than myself, and obviously Jake Paul as well. I would love to fight Conor McGregor in mixed martial arts, but again, I'm going to be retired, and yeah, I just don't really see all that happening. I'm just saying, you asked me how I would come out of how I would do this again, and how I would do this again is if they give me a very large amount of money.
You have a weight on your shoulders from the people.
Really? I don't feel it.
Well, from the people who really dislike Jake Paul, they count on you to count him out of the boxing game. Do you realize that feeling from some of the fans?
Yeah, I mean, I honestly think most fans are more invested in the result of this bout than I am. I mean, for me, I think actually the biggest negative comes from winning, because if I beat Jake Paul's ass, I'm going to be like world famous, and I ain't really trying to be world famous. Like I said, I'm trying to coach wrestling and podcast, and that's really it. So, the result of the bout on Saturday night, obviously I'd like to win, but I don't really think it changes my life a whole lot either way.
You mentioned investments there. Someone who's invested heavily in this, kind of interestingly, is Dana White is putting down $1 million on you.
Yes.
What's your reaction to that $1 million? And do you appreciate that support from Dana?
Yeah, it's good to have that support. And, Jake Paul is tremendous in the fact that he even made Dana White like me, which, man, That's years. That took years to make it happen. He made it happen. So good job, Jake Paul.
And finally, look, you've had your injuries in the past, the hip most notoriously. Are you as injury free as you can be coming into this fight? Can we see the best Ben Askren we expect to see coming into this fight?
I'm as healthy as I have been for a while, yes. But obviously, I'm not. I can't stand it when so I'm 36. Say athletes in their late 30s say this is the best I've ever been. I'm like bullshit. Like give me 24-year-old myself back again. I'd love to have that. But I am injury free and I feel great. So I'm ready to fight on Saturday night.
All the best, Ben. Pleasure speaking to you.
Thank you.
Great. Next we have Shaquille Majori. Go ahead, Shaquille.
Do it.
Shaquille, you might be on mute.
He doesn't want to answer the question, I guess. I can hear you. What's up? Oh, good. Oh, Shaquille's going out again. Well, yeah, yes, my audience is growing, and I've already commented that I'm carrying the promotion of this fight, and Jake Paul's not doing his job. But I don't want to be famous. Yeah, my audience is growing like crazy, and the numbers are, like you said, Food Truck Diaries. I think someone showed me it's the second most watched Food Truck Diaries ever. I'm already really high up on the Logan Paul podcast for being, one of the most watched ever, and it's been 1 week. You know what I think it all points to, and I don't want to be famous, but it points to the fact that there's so many not authentic people in the world. And when someone's just real with them, when someone just really says how he feels from the bottom of his heart, people appreciate that. And I think that's kind of the biggest thing that's coming through is, people thought maybe it was bravado or something. No, I'm just being me. And I've been me for the last 20 years. And we don't see a lot of real people in the world, and the authenticity people appreciate.
Thanks very much. Next up is Donna Corby. Donna?
Hi, Ben. I'm surprised.
Oh, so bad.
Sorry. Move back. We'll get back to Shaquille after.
Oh, man.
Donna.
Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, I'm sure that was going to be a great question, Shaquille, so hold it. But Ben, I'm surprised I'm able to ask you this question. I thought it would be the first one asked. Were you playing everyone with the sparring footage going into this so that you could stun everyone at the open workouts yesterday? Because that's what I'm reading on social media. People are amazed at how good you looked yesterday.
Yeah. No, I actually am not, right? But, and again, this goes to the authentic point. When I signed the Jake Paul fight, I was sitting on the fucking couch for 15 months. But when I got done with the UFC in October of 2019, I remember I tried to go do some private lessons, and it was just like literally too painful, and I couldn't do it. So I had been doing some yoga and some bicycle, and then after my surgery, I did nothing. And so literally, I started putting out footage of me hitting nothing for 15 months, not working out for 15 months. And it was not pretty. And I just knew, I had faith in myself that if I put my mind to it for 11 weeks, it's going to get a lot better. And it got a lot better. And then you combine that with the fact that I never actually focused on boxing, and I'm a quick learner, and I tend to be good at those type of things when I put my mind to it. Obviously for what you're looking at, you got a lot better product in week 11 than you did in week 1.
Jake has made your wife a bit of an internet celebrity. He's also, of course, made you even more famous than you were prior to this. Is there any part of you that's win or lose going to be saying, "Thank you, Jake, for the hundreds of thousands of dollars. Thank you, Jake, for helping my wife sell more houses"? Ultimately, are you going to be thankful towards Jake when this is all said and done?
No, I don't feel that way at all. Again, I will repeat this. This is probably the fourth time. I ain't trying to get famous. I think that might be the most negative thing that comes from me winning on Saturday night. It's just not a place I want to be in my life. And you know, it's actually, I'm feeling a little bit differently when I go on the street. I get stopped 10 times and I'm kind of like a little bit antisocial. So I actually don't love it. You know, I got my 11 acres at my house and I have no neighbors, and I go outside and I piss in my yard if I want to, and no one talks to me and everyone leaves me alone. Like, and then I go coach at my wrestling academies. That's what I love to do. And so, no, I probably will not be saying thank you. Maybe thank you to Triller for making my bank account much larger.
Yes, my last question is, if people were going to bet on this fight, what would you tell them to go to the bookmaker and say?
So I actually think betting on this fight is very risky, which, hey, some people love risk. And I think a lot of people just want to say, I bet on this fight because they want to have an opinion one way or the other. But compared to, like, for me, just as a gambler, you know, the fights that I want to bet on are the ones where I'm like, dude, I've seen these dudes fight 20 times. I know exactly what they're going to do. I understand both their strengths and both their weaknesses, and I understand how they fit together, right? When I look at MMA fights that I don't actually gamble that much anymore. I used to gamble quite a bit, and I would win quite a bit. But this one, there's so many unknowns. There's literally so many unknowns. So if you're gambling, you just love to gamble, which, you know, hey, gambling makes everything more fun. So why not?
Actually, could I squeeze one more in and ask ONE FC,
Sure.
ONE FC, UFC, or Triller, which is the best? I suppose you could say Bellator as well. I'd be surprised if that was your answer. Which is the best promoter to work with?
Yeah, I'm not going to answer that question because there's not really an upside to me.
Okay, great. Thanks so much. Next, we have the great Damon Martin.
Oh, the great Damon. I know Damon Martin. I saw him in Ohio one time in like 2014.
Hey, Ben.
What's up?
When we did our interview right after the fight was announced, I kind of joked with you about wrestling Jake Paul, and you said that wouldn't be fun because it would last like 11 seconds. Did you see yesterday? Jake actually said he wanted to wrestle you. So will you accept that challenge, and how quickly would that fight go?
I cannot figure out, I always try to think of what is someone's angle on this. I can't figure out what his angle is. I don't know. I mean, yeah, if he wants to wrestle, we can wrestle. I mean, I can go wrestle really, really high level people still and be very, very competitive, if not beat them. The notion that I couldn't pin a bad high school. I mean, let's just put it, he wasn't even good at high school wrestling. The notion that I couldn't pin him in 20 seconds is hilarious. So I don't really know. I don't really know what he's angling at there. And then, but the one thing it does makes me think, which I've kind of always thought, and this I guess would be further proof that he realizes he doesn't have a future in boxing, because if your goal was to be a great boxer, you're not going to take a couple months off to wrestle somebody. And I just think back to my time, and I'm a world-class athlete, and he's Jake Paul. I remember my time in 2010, I tried to both wrestle and do mixed martial arts as in the Bellator tournament. And it sucked. And I was not optimal in either one because I was splitting my time. So I don't understand the angle there.
Ben, when you started this training camp, when you were striking for MMA, you were striking to set up takedowns. You were striking to get to your wrestling. But you said, 3 months you would have time to learn and adapt and grow. How much do you feel like you have learned and adapted and grown, in your boxing over these last 3 months?
Well, you guys saw yesterday, right? I mean, read the comments on that video. There's millions of views. Go read the comments. Yeah, people saw it. And that was my whole premise is I understand that I suck at this, but I understand I'm a world-class athlete, and despite the fact that I don't look like it, right? Sometimes can't judge a book by the cover, and that I'm a world-class learner. I understand how to learn things really well. And give me 11 weeks at trying this, and I'm going to be way better. And that's what you guys saw yesterday.
And last one, during your mixed martial arts career, you faced off and had, kind of fun trash talking battles with a lot of people. I think going into this, because Jake kind of became famous through YouTube and social media, everyone thought, oh, well, this will be fun. He'll engage with Ben. It'll be a fun back and forth. But as you said, it's been a little bit one-sided. Have you been surprised that maybe he hasn't been better at the trash talk, or did you just kind of expect that when you actually got to know a little bit more about him?
Frankly, it's been a bloodbath. If we're talking trash talk, it's not even a 10-8, more like a 10-7 or a guy. I don't think we've seen a 10-6 in mixed martial arts, but something like that. And it's just, this guy has, he only picks the lowest hanging fruit because his audience average age is 13 and a half. And, like the lowest hanging fruit just isn't going to work against me. You're going to have to come with something creative or something intelligent. He just has lacked the ability to do so.
Thanks, Ben.
Hello, Ben. Can you hear me?
Yeah, what's up?
Hey, Ben. This is Gabriel with Cage Side Press. You showered for us, but you didn't bring the fancy robe today. Did you forget it at home?
It's up my room. It's nice and comfy.
To ask you, I think one of the things that's become very apparent is your ability to handle a lot of personalities throughout your career, whether it's talking with Jake, talking with Jorge, and what have you. What is your advice to fighters? Because they get that a lot. Like, you got to talk better to sell the fight and make more money. What's your advice to guys who are not as good at handling the pre-fight talk?
So I don't necessarily have to trash talk, but you have to have a personality, right? There has to be something that people are interested in order to tune into your fight. The fight is just not enough, or in a few cases it is, right? But the majority of the time it's not. So create some type of personality for yourself. And then I would say on the second side is like, I grew up, Muhammad Ali was my favorite athlete. And so, he used psychological warfare to his advantage. And I can tell you unequivocally, whether it was my wrestling career or my mixed martial arts career, is that, when the other guy's really angry or emotional, it's so beneficial. I mean, it really, really helps a lot. And, actually I kind of told someone the other night, and they pointed out, which is an obvious play, is Jose Aldo versus, Conor McGregor. Like, Conor was so far under his skin, and that was the reason the fight was so easy for him, is he made Jose mad. So it not only would it be beneficial from a promotional standpoint, but it's actually beneficial from a competition standpoint. And so, go get started figuring it out.
It sounds like it might be Eddie Alvarez who'll be the next MMA star jumping over to box somebody for Triller. I was just wondering, what are your thoughts on Eddie possibly getting in there to box Oscar De La Hoya in June?
Well, I love Eddie because he's a Bitcoiner. And I felt bad about his last fight because I didn't agree with the referee's call at all. But I actually heard it's going to be Tyron Woodley. That's what I heard.
I mean, what advice do you have for him? Obviously, you guys have been really close. What is your advice for him?
Tyron's a much better boxer than myself. I don't got any damn advice for him. You don't try to give advice to someone that you're worse than.
You'd say that you don't like being famous and everything. Can I ask why? Because I think a lot of people would say, Ben Askren, you're kind of pretty good at being in the public eye. You're entertaining.
Oh God, that's what my wife says too. She says, like, I know you don't want this, but you seem to thrive in that environment. And to me, it feels like a wrestling locker room where you guys, everyone's just kind of talking shit, and you roll off your back, or some guy gets bothered, so then you keep antagonizing him. I don't know, like, I just don't have the desire. And I guess in the case that I could give positive, I think, like, I have a quote, and I think I should probably trademark it at some point. But don't tie your ego to your outcome. And I said that on a Steve-O podcast, and, a handful of people have commented, I've seen that said something like, hey, that really affected the way I think about things. And so, hey, if I could affect people in a positive way like that, I would love it. But I think I'm borderline autistic, actually, and I have very specified interests, and I can't stand talking to people about things that don't really matter to me. And I know it's really bad. My wife gets upset with me about it, and she probably should, right? It's fair. And so when people want to come up and talk to me about stuff, it's just like, I don't want to talk. I want to think about what I want to think about, or I want to go coach wrestling. I want to do what I want to do. And I don't want to talk to strangers. I know I sound like a total asshole when I say that, but I'm telling you my feelings. I don't want to do that. I want to be able to go to the restaurant and sit down and eat and not have anyone come take a picture and listen. So, I know I sound like an asshole, but I'm telling you my feelings, and that's how it is.
Okay, completely understood. My final question, Ben, who's the bigger problem child, Jake Paul or Sean O'Malley?
Oh, that's a good question. Oh man, I don't know. I don't know them well enough to really comment on that. I probably have to do a more thorough research of their histories.
Hey, thanks, Ben.
Yep.
Okay, next up is Boxing Social.
Hey Ben, I just had a couple more questions for you.
Yes.
You're in this position with this fight because you're fighting Jake Paul, who's built himself this YouTube empire as such.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on that heel hustle that Jake has been going on for the last few years? Do you expect that, and do you think there are lessons that fighters like yourself who are coming up should take lessons from Jake to get to where he is right now?
What was the word you said? Heel hoss?
The heel hustle. Like being
heel
the
hustle. Oh,
Yeah,
I never
yeah.
heard of that exact terminology. No, I get what you're saying. No, I said earlier, I think it's really important for fighters to understand that the social media and the trash talk and the personality, it's very, very important to progressing your career. And really, when you think about it, I was talking to someone, a baseball player yesterday. It's like I said, this guy doesn't have a big social media following. It's like, well, it doesn't matter if his batting average is good and he hits some home runs. He's going to get paid a whole bunch of money, and that's true with other sports. In MMA and boxing and whatever the fuck we're doing this weekend, celebrity fighting, it's just not true. It's like literally, if you can bring a bunch of eyeballs, they're going to pay you a bunch of money. And if you don't understand that, you're a moron and someone should hit you in the head with a tack hammer.
You said you've been watching a lot of boxing in the lead up to this and looking to replicate some of the moves of some legendary fighters. Who have you watched and who have you been trying to replicate?
I really liked how Tyson bit that dude. So maybe I'll try to bite Jake.
Any other fighters you've been watching?
No, it's just that. That's it.
And just finally from you, can I get your prediction, please, for the fight night?
I seventh on TKO. We'll stick with that.
Brilliant. All the best then. Thanks.
Yes.
Ben.
All right, and finally, we're going to circle back around to Shaquille for his awesome question.
Hey, Shaquille. Yeah. Yeah, for real. I mean, from the first time we did anything, no one likes the guy. I was blown away. Like I'd never seen, not even as many people hate Colby Covington. Like I have literally never seen anything like it. So I can't say it's swaying more because I think it was swayed in the beginning.
Well, thanks very much, and thank you, Ben. We're clear.
Wait, I'm not done. I want to say, can I say one more thing? Is the microphone on?
Ben, you can say whatever you want.
Okay, good. Listen, I fully intend to box on Saturday night, but Jake Paul is telling lies when he says my purse will be deducted for me doing a non-boxing move. That's just not true. He made it up, and I would just appreciate all you guys write that he's telling lies. Peace. Maybe I'll throw an elbow. You never know.
Thank you, Ben. We appreciate it. So coming up next will be Regis Prograis. He's just about ready to pop in. Let me know if you have a question for Regis, and we'll queue you up. Once again, tomorrow, 12:45 is our Eastern time, is our press conference, Zoom press conference with Lopez and Cambosos talking about the June 5th event. And then Saturday at 5 o'clock, we'll start bringing in fighters after the matches, 5 o'clock Eastern time. And then the main 4 bouts begin at 9 p.m. Eastern time. And we'll have that Zoom room just open the entire time. If you have not yet done so, you can send me the email at jerry@jerrymilani.com if you had not yet requested a code for the pay-per-view. We'll be getting those codes out either later today or tomorrow. Appreciate everyone being with us today. We'll be right back. Regis just completing something quickly, and he'll be right in. Stand by. Awesome. Reminder, we will have recordings of these available if you're not recording. and you need, just let me know. I will be able to send that to you. Just send me an email saying you need a recording of whichever of the boxers, and I'll send those to you this afternoon. All right, Regis is heading to the podium right now. Let me know if you have questions. I have a couple queued up already, but if you have questions for Regis, let me know. And just getting Regis checked in. All right, we've got Regis who can hear me. Yes? Yeah. He can. All right, we're going to start with our first question, and it is Gabriel Gonzalez. Go ahead, Gabriel.
Hello, Regis. How are you?
I'm good, bro. What's up with it?
I'm good too, man. Thank you. My first question, people talk a lot about Jake Paul's bringing in this new audience, this younger audience. My question, have you felt that? Do you see younger people and all that just suddenly interested in this fight of yours rather than previous ones?
Yeah, of course. I definitely feel it. I mean, first off, starting off, I was at his brother's fight in LA. And when I was over there, man, like, yeah, for Logan Paul and KSI in LA, in the stadium was packed. And it wasn't the same regular boxing fans that's always there. It was, I mean, kids, I'm talking about 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, not with their parents. They are running around, so that's a big, big difference from regular boxing fans. So I definitely feel it, with this fight too.
There's some people, they seem to get mad. It's like, oh, like, what are they doing to boxing? Like, now the real boxers have to fight for the quote honor of boxing. I mean, you're one of the quote unquote legit guys. Is this a problem, or is this just all a good thing because they're bringing attention and bringing money?
It's all a good thing, man. When you bringing attention and bringing the money, how can you be mad, right? For me, it's a good thing. If Jennifer Lopez could have fought on his card, I'm pretty sure she would have did the same thing. And then what people to say? So, listen, I think it's an all around. For me, it's an all around good thing that you got somebody like Jake Paul that's coming into boxing, and they bring in more fans. I think it's a good thing. And even like I'm sorry to cut you off, even like the legends I watched, the hot boxing with Mike Tyson, he said, he likes it. Sugar Ray Leonard likes it. Tommy Hearns likes it. So I think it's, for me, if I approve of it and if they approve of it, then, the regular boxing fans should too.
My final question, you're obviously fighting earlier in the night. What would be your message to those fans who are, hey, I'm going to show up for Jake Paul? What's your message for them to tune in early to watch you guys throw down?
I mean, you definitely got to watch me. You watching the call, you definitely got to watch me, bro, because I'm former world champion. I think I'm former world champion, and I'm gonna go out there and do my thing. Everybody that know me, they know, I bring the heat. Every time I fight, I'm gonna bring the smoke. So definitely tune in for me, because I'm gonna do my thing.
Hey, thank you and good luck.
No problem.
Gabriel, thank you. Next up is Boxing Social.
Ames here for Boxing Social in association with Betfred. How you doing, Regis? You okay?
Yeah, I'm good. Yes, sir.
Good to hear. Is there a lesson here to be learned for boxers about promotion, self-promotion? Jake's at the top of the card. He's earning that Triller money as well. Should boxers be looking to learn from Jake and put themselves in the spotlight like he has done?
That's a great question. Absolutely. I definitely think everybody should, man. You know what? I'm actually starting to do it with myself now. You got to invest in yourself. That's one thing. All fighters, when they coming up, people come to me on my Instagram all the time asking me, what should I do? What should I do? I'm telling them, bro, like, invest in yourself, invest in your career. Just because you sign with a promoter, that don't mean they gonna promote you. Like, you could promote yourself, and somebody that said that a long time ago, I never listened, with somebody like Adrian Broner. That's somebody that, he sucks right now. He's not that good, but he's still getting big money to fight, basically, and because he promoted himself, right? So I think that everybody every fighter should definitely invest in themselves and promote themselves. Self-promotion, you have to do it yourself, right? Because just because you sign with a promoter, you might fight at my level, you might fight, 2 or 3 times a year, most of the time 2 times a year. And outside of that, what are you? Who are you? Right? You're just doing regular stuff. So I think everybody should definitely self-promote themselves and invest in their career.
As part of the promotion of this fight, there's been talk about the sparring session that you guys had about a year ago. Can you tell us what happened in that sparring? Does that give you that confidence coming into the fight?
Oh man, so when me and Ivan spar, first off, he's supposed to keep sparring, is you're supposed to keep that in the gym, but I'm not gonna tell you about the sparring. But so when me and Ivan sparred, I walked in the gym one day. I was like, you know what? I talked to Shane Moses, that was training him at the time, and I was like, man, let me spar with no head again. Shane was like, nah, you need to put the head again on this stuff. And let's just say it was a good sparring session. He bust my nose. That's what he said, which everybody know me in sparring, my nose always bust. So I think that's what he's counting on for this fight. So I mean, hey, let's leave it like that.
I was speaking to Ben Askren moments ago. We all were, and he said he might try to bite Jake coming into this fight, but Redkach infamously tried to take a piece out of Danny Garcia in their fight. Have you accounted for and prepared for any of those types of underhanded tactics for fight night?
Yeah, man, I don't know. Ivan, bro, you never know what's gonna happen, bro. Ivan he a little off sometimes, But yeah, if he bite me, I might bite his ass back. That's just know that he bite me, I'm gonna fucking bite him back. That's all.
And if you come through this fight, how far away do you think you are from title contention? And are you looking at trying to win a title at super light? Are you looking at welterweight? Because you're at 142 for this fight, aren't you?
Yeah, 142 for this fight. Yeah. After this, we'll see. We'll see what happens, man. Like in boxing, you just never know the landscape. You never know how things gonna play out. So after this, I'll talk to my management team and see what's next for me. But yeah, I want to be a champion again at 140. So we'll see. But if they offer me something big at 147, we'll see that also. So I can do either one.
Is Broner still in the equation? Where's the Broner factor here for you?
I think Broner is definitely still in the equation. That's a fight I've been calling out for like 5 years now. So I think that's definitely the Broner fight is definitely in the equation. I think it'll be a huge fight between me and him. We both talk a lot of shit to each other. So I think that'll be a real big fight. So yeah, after this, maybe it could be Broner, maybe we'll see. We'll see who else.
Finally, I just want to get your thoughts on the mega fight that's coming up in the super lightweight division. You're looking at Josh Taylor, Jose Ramirez. Just get your thoughts on that fight.
Oh man, I got Josh Taylor winning. I mean, it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be a good fight. You can't never count out Jose Ramirez because both of them have so much to fight for. Both of them are fighting. For Jose will be the first Mexican ever with 4 belts, and Josh Taylor will be the first person from Scotland with 4 belts. So both of them are fighting for a lot. I think it's gonna be about will, but I think as far as skills wise, Josh Taylor is he has more skills than Jose Ramirez. So I go with Josh Taylor.
I wish you all the best at the weekend. Thank you, Regis.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next up, we have Joe Lee.
Hi, mate. How are you?
Good, man.
Good. So first question I have for you is, do you understand why you are on the undercard of Paul Askren, or are you frustrated that it takes a YouTuber and things like that for you to be in, does it frustrate you that people who basically aren't pro fighters, you're underneath them?
I'm not frustrated, bro. No, I'm not. I see what you're trying to say. Yeah, I'm not frustrated because it's just like, listen, boxing is a popularity contest, right? I mean, not the whole boxing, but it is popular. It's a popularity contest, and right, more people are coming to see Jake Paul. So I'm not frustrated at all, bro. Like he's actually helping my career, to be honest. So I'm not frustrated at all.
And a moment ago, you said there was a potential for you to move up to 147. Other than the likes of Adrian Broner, what are the big names you would like to fight there?
Anybody, bro. I mean, anybody with a belt. I'll be chasing belts. Somebody I want to fight is like Danny Garcia, but I think Danny Garcia is going to 154. That's what I'm hearing. So, for me, anybody with a belt at 147, I'll be chasing them. Once I do go up, I'm not saying I'm going to 147 right now. I said that, it depends. It depends on what's going to happen. But right now, for me, Saturday that's my main focus. It's not about, what's next. Right now, I got to focus on one person, Ivan Redkach.
And I know you said there's more attention towards your fights when you're on a Triller Fight card and it's a bigger fight card as a whole. Have you genuinely seen like a boost in your social media numbers and things like that in the build up to this fight?
Yeah, definitely for sure. Yeah, I seen a boost in social media and stuff like that. People been tagging all kinds of stuff, and like kids and all have been following me and writing me. So yeah, I definitely see a boost.
And do you think, last one from me, do you think this is the future of boxing, the performances from the likes of Snoop Dogg, the artists that are going to be on stage? Do you feel like this is the new wave and you're going to be part of this?
Hopefully so. I definitely hope so. I told the story a few times already, but I had a fight in New Orleans, and we want to do I have like my own like marketing team out there in New Orleans, and we want to do the same exact thing. What we want to do is we want to bring all like the local artists from New Orleans and have them perform, and that would have brought a lot of more people to the fight, but at the time Top Rank shut it down, ESPN shut it down, and the Louisiana Commission, they all shut that down, and now Triller's doing the same thing. So I think this is great for boxing. You got all these people, so all these performers like Justin Bieber and Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre and all these people that's gonna be here, all their fans, they might not even be boxing fans, but they're going to tune in. And then so all my fans, and then Jake Paul fans, and all these different fans are tuned into this one event. And so then everybody will kind of share fans. I think it's a great thing. And I think, boxing needed this for a long time, but Triller did it.
Brilliant. Best of luck. And hopefully we'll see you fight again in the UK very soon after that last fantastic fight with Josh Taylor.
Thank you.
Cheers, man.
Cheers.
Thank you, Joe. Next up is Jake Bennett, MNR.
Hey, Jake Bennett here with Music News and Rumors. How's it going, Regis?
I'm good, brother. How you doing?
I'm good, thanks. So you've talked before about how it's been a hard road to make it where you are today, and you're an inspiration to a lot of people out there. What do you have to say to your fans who aspire to reach the heights that you have in your career?
I mean, as far as for me, bro, like, I did an interview the other day, like, yeah, I made it, and I had like a long, hard road to get where I'm at, so for what I would tell like upcoming fighters or anybody, just stick with it. You got to be consistent. You definitely got to be consistent. You got to give everything you got. For me, I was like working as a personal trainer for like 6 to 8 years, but I always believed in myself. I always believed in my ability. It was never quit in me, and it was never. I know a lot of athletes and stuff. They'll go to schools and tell kids you have to have a backup plan. But for me, it was no backup plan. I figured a backup plan after if I have this, if I don't have this, that's when I figure a backup plan. So, yeah, I just was all the way invested in my career in boxing. I was all the way invested in boxing all the way, and it wasn't no failing for me. So, that's why I got to where I am today.
All right, great. Thanks very much. Next up is Donna Corby.
Regis, you've fought for so many great promoters on so many great shows in your career.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell us a bit about behind the scenes, how you're enjoying working with Triller and I suppose Ryan Kavanaugh and Snoop Dogg?
Well, it's great, bro. Like, everything is great. Like, even like the whole bubble thing going on right now, it's just good. Like, it's just, of course I fought for a lot of different promotions and all that type of stuff, but this is, I like it. I just like everything that's going on here. I like the promotion. They're running smooth. Everything is good. I can't complain about nothing.
It appears that they've got a lot of people. They've got some good boxing people involved too, but they've taken a lot of people from outside of the world of boxing. You're not seeing any you're not seeing any Bob Arum here. You're not seeing any Lou DiBella here. It's sort of new people to the space.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think the boxing kind of needed that from a new big promoter at some point?
Yeah, I definitely think so. I don't want to talk shit about Bob Arum and Lou DiBella. Of course,
no, of
get me
course.
on that pad,
those are examples I'm giving.
But yeah, it's always good to bring in new people, right? It's always to bring in it's always good to bring in like new faces and just new ideas. And like I said, with this whole Triller thing going on, it's a great thing that we got this stuff going on, because it's new, is new ideas, and you're bringing in new fans. You can't keep doing the same old thing. The world is ever changing. You got to change with the world. So, and I'm like I said, I'm loving every second of this.
If you were to speak to people who were at the sports book this weekend gambling on your fight, what would you tell them to bet on?
I would tell them don't bet on me, because you're not gonna. I would say don't bet, because I'm gonna fuck them up anyway. Well, you know what I'm saying? And the odds are fucking crazy. You know, I don't bet. I'm not a betting person. But if you, a lot of people saying all kinds of stuff, under 1, under 2, under 3, all that. I don't, bro. I just go out there and do what I gotta do. I don't worry about no bets and all that stuff. You know, some people they getting you, not getting your head, but they're like all my neighbors and stuff. They'll tell me, yeah, I'm betting and I'm gonna bet this. I'm bet like, bro, like leave me alone. Like I'm gonna go out there and do my thing. You know, that's
What's
what
the
I'm gonna
biggest
do.
one you've heard of? What's the biggest bet you've heard somebody making on you?
I think like shit, 1 round or something like that. Somebody, I mean, as far as money wise, I don't know, but you know, like they'll say like 1 round or something. Like, bro, like leave me alone, bro. Like I'm not worried about that. Like I'm gonna go out there and do me. I'm not worried about, you know, I'm prepared for. I think we're doing 10 rounds. I'm prepared for 10 rounds. I'm not worried about none of the other stuff.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Donna. And thank you, Regis. We're clear. Appreciate it.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right, everyone, at the bottom of the hour, we'll have Jake at the bottom of the hour or whenever he's here. So it might be before that, whenever he comes in. So just stay tuned. We'll be right back with you. All right, everyone. Jake Paul on his way in. He should be in momentarily. If you haven't yet done so, let me know if you have a question for Jake, and we'll queue you up. We have a pretty hard out at 1, top of the hour, so we'll try to get to everyone at least once through, and then try to go back to you if we can a second time if you have multiple. So if you do get queued up, make sure you get your best 2 questions in, and then we'll bounce back around to you if we have time at the back end. Thank you. All right, Jake Paul making his way to the podium at this time. And our first question, as soon as he's set up, will come from Joe Lee. As soon as Jake indicates. Jake, can you hear me? Can you hear me, Jake? All right, we're going to bring in our first question, first media question. It's from Joe Lee.
Hi, Jake. Thanks for joining us today.
Cell phones, mute your cell phone.
Oh, they're yelling. Hey, how are we?
Really good, thank you. So first question I've got, I know you've been calling out a lot of people. One of them's Conor McGregor. Someone else from the UFC who you actually mates with now, Jorge Masvidal. You never know the way the fight world works at the moment. He could be potentially stepping into a boxing ring in a couple of years. If that was to happen, who do you think would win?
It's hard to say. I've never sparred against him, but obviously he's a great striker, one of the best strikers in the world. And again, that probably wouldn't happen for a couple of years. And I don't like fighting my friends, so probably wouldn't happen. But yeah, I guess like you said, you never know.
Mm-hmm. And I know you said you don't like fighting your friends, but is there still a potential fight between you and Logan Paul? I know you teased that a couple of times.
It depends what day you ask us, right? I think a lot of people want to see that. I think it would be massive, but at the end of the day, our parents don't want us to do it. And I don't know if I would even want to do it. Sometimes we're mad at each other and we want to punch each other. And other times, like right now, we're perfectly getting along and supporting each other and everything. So the world may never see Jake Paul versus Logan Paul, but hey, you never know.
All right, next up is Jake Bennett. You're up, Jake.
Hey, Jake Bennett here with Music News and Rumors. It's good to be talking to a fellow Jake. How's it going?
Yes, sir. I like that name.
So your fame as an
Going
internet
good.
star precedes you going into this weekend. What do you have to say to people who think you might not be ready for such a high-profile fight?
Tune in and see if I am or not. Find out for yourself. TrillerFightClub.com. Order that pay-per-view because if you're not watching, you're the one missing out. And look, I've dedicated the past 18 months of my life to this, and we've been in serious training camp sparring world champions. So you're gonna see if I'm ready or not.
I know you're here for the fight, but there's a lot of fanfare going on in Atlanta around the event. Have you seen the musical lineup, and which artists are you most excited to see and maybe even meet this weekend?
Yeah, I mean, that's the beautiful thing about this event is that it's more than just a fight. It's entertainment all the way around. And I'm excited for all the performances. I think each and every one of them brings a different genre of music, and it's gonna be incredible. I'm obviously a believer. Been a believer for a while, so excited to see Justin perform. And he's obviously a boxing fan, which is why I think he did this. And so hopefully we get to kick it after.
All right, and now next up is Theo Salon. Theo.
Hey, how's it going, Jake?
Going good, man. Thank you.
Appreciate you for taking the time. So so you've mentioned kind of like, disproving the doubters and the haters and wanting everybody to tune in and kind of see what you've been working on. And we've seen comments from people, like KSI saying, "Oh, do the world a favor and knock Jake Paul out." I'm wondering, one, is all of that kind of like hate fueling you? Is that a motivating factor?
Yeah, for sure. I use it all as gasoline in the gas tank to work harder every single day. And I know that going into this fight, and I know that for the past 3 fights I've had, is everyone wants to see Jake Paul lose. And that's why I work so hard every single day and surround myself with the best team and take this so seriously, because this fight means everything. Losing is not an option, quite literally. It just isn't an option in my head, and it's not it's not going to happen. And I've put in the work, and that's why I'm confident in my ability and confident that I will come out on top.
Yeah, I feel that. And then are there any like kind of comments or people in particular that you kind of have bookmarked in your mind, like, oh, I can't wait to kind of like show them wrong?
No. I think there's a long list of people that I don't really keep track of it. I'm excited for Dana White to lose $1 million, but other than that, I'm going to prove millions and millions and millions and millions of people wrong. And they have, like you said, motivated me to become the best version of myself over the past couple of years.
All right, next up is Boxing Social.
Ames here for Boxing Social in association with Betfred. How are you doing, Jake? You all right?
Yes, sir. Chilling, enjoying the moment, man. This is crazy. Headlining a fight and my third fight, and it's massive. I mean, Justin Bieber's performing, and this could be one of the biggest pay-per-view events in history. So just enjoying the moment. Happy to be here.
I've got a couple of questions for you, Jake. This boxing path that you're on right now, there's this expectation from the fans who are watching this for you to eventually fight KSI. It's in the comments, it's in the socials. They'll type for you to fight KSI. Like, have you had any contact with KSI in the lead up to this fight, and do you think he still wants to fight you?
I don't really want to talk about him anymore.
Okay. And with that said, like, as you delve deeper into the fight game, you've been training for the first time you put on the gloves to now. There are levels in the sport. You've got your domestic, international, world-class, elite. What level do you see yourself at now, and what level do you think people see you as?
I see myself as an elite fighter right now. A young prospect with a lot of motivation, a lot of hunger. And I think people see me as a shitty amateur. So there's a sort of a big difference, and there's a big gap in between where I'm actually at and what the general audience will think. But I'm excited again to show my ability on Saturday against Ben, who is a world-class fighter.
All right, next up is Jeremy Regis. Jeremy.
Hi, Jake. How you doing?
Good, man. Good.
So you're kind of talking about how people interpret you as a boxer, but the odds actually have you as the favorite right now. Do you think that's a testament that people are seeing and seeing your boxing talent and taking it as legitimate?
Yeah. I mean, someone asked me this yesterday. They were like, how is the guy who's 19-2, an Olympic athlete, a 2-time NCAA champion, how is he the proposed underdog? So it is pretty funny that in my third pro fight, I'm coming in as the favorite against this guy who they're calling world class. But then the people want to say, oh, I'm not a fighter. I think people need to sort of make up their minds. But I've been putting in the work, and I think people can see that.
And looking at this from a strategic standpoint, you have several inches on him in height, reach, and weight. How big of a factor is that going to be going into this fight?
I think it'll be massive. You know, Ben's not used to fighting at this weight. And that's another thing that people aren't even talking about. They talk about his cardio being so good, but he's lugging around an extra 25 pounds coming out of retirement. I'm ready to go into deep waters. He's used to fighting guys his same height. Masvidal, you know, I've been training with Masvidal a bit, and it's like I'm towering over Masvidal. That's the type of guys that Ben is used to fighting. And people always say when they meet me, they're like, damn, you're big. You're bigger than I thought, all the time. And so that'll play a huge factor. And he won't be able to get close to me. He won't be able to do all the things that he's planning on doing. He's talking about coming in with defense and pressure. That pressure and him coming forward is going to get him knocked out.
All right. Next up is Gabriel Gonzalez. Gabriel.
Hey, Jake, there's been so much with the pre-fight and everything. I'm wondering, in your opinion, what is people's biggest misconception about you?
Everything. How much time do you have? People don't understand me. They don't get me. And I don't think they maybe ever will. I have a tattoo on the back of my neck. It says, I wish I could explain, because I wish I could explain. If I could talk to you guys for hours on hours and become your friend, you would maybe start to understand me, and my inner circle understand just me, and the closest people around me understand me. My family understands me, and they get what I'm trying to do, but the world doesn't know who Jake Paul is. And maybe I like it that way.
I think you've done a great job of getting people to tune in, right? You've done that with your performances, but also just the way, you've promoted these fights. What is your biggest advice? Because obviously a lot of these prize fighters want to do the same thing. They want more attention to make more money. What, in your opinion, is the key to it? Is it playing into the heel role? Is it having personality? What is it?
I think just, being yourself. Look, I mean, it's hard to give someone advice on such a intricate subject. I spent 10, 12 years of my life doing social media and marketing and creating content. So it comes second nature to me. I've been doing it since I was 10 years old. So I don't know, just maybe hire a social media team and put some content out and grow your brand. I mean, Ryan Garcia does a great job of it. That's really it. He's the only boxer that does a good job.
All right. Next up is Michael Mariam. Michael.
Thank you, Jake. So have you had a chance to take a step back and realize how far you've come in your boxing career so quickly? Just like a couple of years ago, you were just doing daily vlogs and stuff, and now you're fighting in one of the biggest stadiums in America. Have you just had a chance to step back and take it all in?
I honestly haven't. I think, my team helps me reflect on sort of where I've gotten to and how far I've come, but I've just been going nonstop and haven't really had a chance to look back and be like, wow, that's crazy, or this is crazy. I think it's starting to set in a little bit. But it is pretty absurd. I'm in my third pro fight, fighting 8 rounds, headlining, one of the biggest pay-per-views that could happen this decade. If you look at Floyd Mayweather, his third fight was 6 rounds. He got paid $7,000, and I don't think anyone in this room probably watched it.
All right. Next up is Damon Martin. Damon.
Hey, Jake, obviously you've said numerous times how seriously you're taking your boxing career. But obviously this is the first, professional fighter you faced. Now, of course, there's going to be people who will say, well, Jay, Ben is a wrestler, not a boxer. But do you believe beating Ben Askren will add some legitimacy to your boxing career, or does that even matter to you?
Well, it doesn't matter to me, but also I think people are going to make tons of excuses for him afterwards, which is great. Just like, again, I bring up Floyd, but Floyd's 50-0, and people still will debate why he shouldn't be 50-0, and the judges and and he shouldn't have won this fight and he shouldn't have won that fight and he picked the easy fight here. So people are always going to have excuses. It's part of this game. But again, that's why they're going to tune into the next pay-per-view after I watch Ben to see me lose or try to see me lose. It doesn't really matter to me at all. And yes, Ben is the first professional fighter I've faced in a real fight, but I've sparred against 250 guys in the gym who are a lot better than Ben.
In terms of your long-term goals, Jake, what are your long-term goals? Because I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong if you went out there and fought in a million fights against Nate Robinsons and made millions of dollars. I think people forget this is called prize fighting, but what are your long-term goals in this sport?
I want to continue to challenge myself with my opponents and continue to build up my level of competition and to make history with historic events, and break pay-per-view records and fight big names and just have fun, man. Like this is such a fun sport. This is such a fun time, and these events are so cool, and I want to bring more eyeballs just in general.
Next up with a follow-up is Joe Lee.
Hiya. Just another one from me. I know you mentioned on the True Geordie podcast a couple of days ago about how specifically the UK fans have quite a disliking to you. Do you think you need to beat KSI in order to get more respect, or do you think a win on Saturday night, a lot more people can reason with you because of the hard work and the passion you've shown for the sport of boxing?
I'm not talking about that guy.
Fair enough. Could I ask one more then? What's your road to Conor McGregor? I know I guess he's the ultimate goal for you. How would you map out a road if from now to here to there? How would you get there?
I think we both are on a road to each other. You know, he wants another boxing fight. He wants to fight Manny Pacquiao. He would get toasted. You know, he just keeps on taking L's. So I think him fighting me would not only be his money fight, but it would technically be the easiest challenge, right? I think fighting Jake Paul would probably be easier than fighting Manny Pacquiao, and it would be just as big. And I think we're a lot closer to a Jake Paul Conor McGregor fight than anyone thinks. I think it could happen in the next 24 months.
All right, next up, follow-up is Shaquille Majori.
So this guy has 21 fights, right? And all of a sudden, this is the biggest payday of his career. And there's a reason for that. You know, Ben Askren had his dick in his hand in Wisconsin, not doing shit. I brought him out of retirement, revived his career. And so I think it's hilarious that he thinks that. You know, he's under these bright lights in front of all of you because of me. I could have picked anybody to be in Ben Askren's position. And everyone that I fight becomes a global superstar for 15 minutes. Then I knock them out and no one ever talks about them again. So, yeah, Ben Askren can think what he wants. He's got about 48 hours left until no one talks about him anymore.
Great. Thank you, Shaquille. And next up is Theo Salon with a follow.
Hey, Jake. So, you know, you mentioned, you know, wanting to challenge yourself, but also have fun. And I know that, you know, you've got your eyes set on guys like Conor McGregor. But, you know, are there any kind of like, you know, more fun kind of influencers that you are interested in fighting moving forward, you know, like guys on Twitch, or even like, you know, TikTok or YouTube streamers, stuff like that?
Yeah. There's a company right now that wants to pay me an absurdly large amount of money to fight an influencer. So I'll gladly go knock out these guys for money. So, you know, I've developed a skill now, right? And that skill is fighting. And if someone wants to pay to see my skill and use my name, which is one of the biggest names in combat sports right now, then I'll gladly pick up the bag.
All right. Next up is Donna Corby.
Hey, Jake. I want to ask you about last Friday, your final sparring session ahead of this fight. You were in there with Charlie Decca, who's a 3-0 pro, and the great Anthony Pretty Boy Taylor, a famous internet troll, a guy in the MMA community who is divisive. Can you talk to me a bit about your final sparring session with the great Pretty Boy?
Yeah, it was good. Like I said, these guys are all better than Ben. I think he was doing some interviews after the sparring session and was like, it was good and he was better than I expected, and he's fast, and I landed some good shots. No, you didn't. You got your ass beat, my friend. And all respect to you, I know we're not supposed to talk about sparring as boxers, but if you're gonna go out there and say, it was an even sparring match, when we watch back the tape, it's not even close. But of course, he's gonna say that it was decent and all this stuff, and protect himself. Obviously, that footage probably will never come out, and it's he said, she said. But I'm getting better. I'm getting the better of a lot of these MMA guys, and it's funny to just see what they say after the sparring sessions.
Yourself and your brother's relationship, obviously the public are always going to conflate you two. We saw him on The Masked Singer. They thought that he was going to be you. But, it seems like he's back in the mainstream after a few years, in the wilderness. And you are paving this path in boxing. Maybe he's going to fight Floyd, maybe not. It seems like your relationship with him is as nicely separate now as it probably has ever been. Is that a fair assessment?
I think we're yin and yang, and I think while we're both individuals at the same time, we're on the same team. So it's this really weird parallel, and I think it's the rise of the Pauls 2.0. I mean, who's doing it?
All right, Donna, thank you very much. Now back to Jake Bennett.
Hey, Jake. So there's going to be millions of people watching online, and it's projected to break some big pay-per-view records. But is it strange for you to be at such a massive venue like Mercedes-Benz Stadium, even though there's going to be an extremely limited crowd?
Yeah, it's weird. I wish there would be a crowd. The fight energy isn't the same. When I knocked out Nate Robinson, the whole arena was silent. Like you could hear a pin drop, and it's weird, but obviously we're making do with it. And hopefully for my next fight, we can have an audience and make it turn.
All right, and now we have Boxing Social.
Hey, Jake, a couple more questions for me. As you delve deeper into the sport, like the risk gets bigger. You're fighting Ben, who has real fight pedigree. I saw one of your videos. You had like a visit to the doctors who talked about like the damage that you've received already. Are you worried about, as you take more risks, the effects you've experienced and what could come?
Yes and no. It's a dangerous sport. And that's why when people question my dedication to it, it's like I'm showing up every single day. I'm putting my mental health on the line. My brain is on the line. I like you said, I've gone and gotten brain scans and have early signs of CTE, but I love this sport and I wouldn't trade it for anything else. And I'm a fighter, and people will see that, whether it's after Saturday night or whether it's a year from now, that they will see that I'm a fighter.
You talked about dealing with things mentally. You've had to deal with stuff in the lead up, that's including a loss of someone personal to you. Do you carry that into the fight, and are you dedicating your performance to Shadow, who you lost quite recently?
Yeah, no, 100%, man. And it's a shock to all of us in the team, and it's deeply affected us. And it's hard without him. You know, when you're with someone every single day and you live with them, and they're, you know, he was a father figure to me in many ways and had my back 24/7. And yeah, he's gone now, and I've never experienced something like that before. But you know, he would want me to go out there and knock this guy out, and he predicted a first round knockout in 2 minutes and 28 seconds. And so for some reason, I think that's going to happen. And man, yeah, I wish he was here. I wish he was here, but he will be here in spirit. And I think a lot of the emotions will sort of hit me after this fight, because I've been sort of trying to suppress it to stay strong.
Next up is Damon Martin.
Hey, Jake, just a couple follow-ups here. You mentioned you were kind of looking forward to Dana White losing $1 million on this fight. Obviously, you're fighting Ben Askren, a UFC veteran fighter. You want to fight Conor McGregor. Do you have fun kind of getting the animosity with the MMA guys, or is it just like that's just the rivalries you've been building so far? Like, what is it with you in the MMA community that you've been so entrenched in that?
I'm just having fun, you know, and trolling, and I've sort of purposely pitted the MMA community against me, so they tune into this fight. Ta-da! It worked.
Is that, we talk about your future fights? You mentioned Conor. I mean, obviously that would be massive. But is Conor the only guy? I mean, I think you mentioned somewhere that if Dustin Poirier beats him, you'd also be interested in that fight.
Yeah, you know, Conor's the big name, right? He's a A-list celebrity, and there's very few fighters who are A-list celebrities. So, you know, we'll see what happens. I hope he wins against Dustin, I guess, so that the fight becomes more exciting.
All right, everyone. Thanks. That is our final question. I'm going to ask Jake to just remain at the podium for a minute. I want to thank everyone for taking part in today's press conference. Tomorrow, 12:45 p.m. Eastern Time, Lopez and Cambosos and friends. And Saturday, 5 o'clock Eastern Time is fight night for media. We will have that press conferences after each fight beginning at 5 p.m. The feature fights beginning at 9 p.m. on the pay-per-view Eastern Time. I want to thank everyone for joining us today on today's press conference, and hope to see everyone on Saturday. Thanks, everyone.